Hey everyone, and welcome to this new video. In this video, I want to show you how you can completely build this LED strip by yourself, which you can configure in length as you like, and of course control with your smart home system or your smartphone. More details after the intro. Have fun. Yes, after a long time, it's time for a DIY project again. I thought I would build an LED strip for the occasion. You can place it in the living room, and theoretically, you can also hang it somewhere. And what I thought was really cool is that you can theoretically take this part with you. There is also the possibility to upgrade the whole thing and connect it to a battery. I haven't built that yet, but it could be done. If you want that, feel free to write it in the comments. In any case, you need very few components for this. It's relatively easy and basically a DIY beginner project, and I think it actually looks pretty cool. And since I need another version of it, I thought I would simply show you how the whole thing is set up. What we actually need for this is just a base, which I of course 3D printed, a power supply, a microcontroller, and the LED strip in the appropriate length. And finally, of course, an LED profile into which we can insert the LED strip at the end. It's best to use a nice cover so that it looks cooler in the end. This profile here is, as you can see, not quite so deep. This has the disadvantage that you can still somewhat see the individual LEDs, especially with the 60 LEDs per meter, compared to these strips where the distance is already relatively large, which means that, as you can see here, you cannot see any LEDs at all. But just take a look at the result at the end and decide for yourselves whether you would prefer to have such an LED strip or another one. Of course, I will link all the parts in the video description below in case you want to recreate this. So, first of all, we need to insert the LED strip into the LED profile. I think that's relatively self-explanatory. This is what it looks like. Next, I still need to solder connections here, as I used an old LED strip that I had previously cut. When you buy a new LED strip, they usually come with it, so you can skip this step. So, after I made the first connections, I moved on directly. Specifically, I attached the cover and then installed the 3D printed part. Connect a 3.5mm port, of course solder it beforehand, and finally connect all these components to the ESP. Here you can see quite well which pins I soldered everything to. And that's almost it from the hardware side. Now, of course, there is still one very important point missing, namely the software side. Because after we have wired everything up nicely, we obviously need software that works correspondingly cool and simple. This time, I have once again chosen WLED. I have already made videos on this topic. You can find a few on my channel about the installation as well as the software itself. Nevertheless, I will give you a small guide here. So, connect everything via micro USB to the microcontroller, then to the computer, and go to the page that I have linked in the description below. It's important that you do this in Chrome, and then you can click on Install here. It will already show me my connected devices. I simply select the first one, Usand, and click on Connect. Then he connects to the microcontroller here, and I can already select Install WLED here. Of course, everything will be deleted here, so Install. So, the installation is complete, and we can click Next here. Now we could connect to our home network. However, since I also want to use the device on the go, I will skip this part and can already close it. Now we could either continue with the smartphone or the computer, because the ESP is now creating a new Wi-Fi network called WLED Apple. We connect to it once, and then a page will automatically open here. Welcome to WLED. We can go to Controls here, and then we can already see the settings. Nothing is happening here yet, because we first need to go into the config and set the maximum current under LED preferences. I have a 4A power supply here, so I set it to 3501 to stay a bit below the maximum that the power supply supports. 2001. Now I need to set a GPIO pin here. We soldered it to 2, so I will specify 2 here. The length is 60 LEDs per meter. I have 1 meter, so that's 60 LEDs, and that's it. When I click on Save Now, the LED strip will turn on. However, we need to dim it directly, because the amount of current being drawn here via USB is, of course, significantly more than what the USB standard supports. Press Save, Send, and then it turns on directly, and we go back here, go to Controls, and turn off the LED strip. But as you could see, it works theoretically. Now we just need to wire everything up properly. To do this, I simply unplug the USB cable here and store the microcontroller in the designated hole. Once again, I plug in the cables, and as you can see, there is a thread inside. This counterpart fits perfectly. I would simply call it the base of the whole thing. And now we just need to screw this in nicely here. And that's it. As you can see, it would already be standing now. Alternatively, one could also use such a cover here if one does not want to place the whole thing on 3 legs, but rather hang it on the wall or do something else. And to test everything out, we can connect it to the power supply now. And as you can see, just like before, the device also turns on. I'm going to place this here. As a substitute, reconnect to the Wi-Fi of the entire go-to controls, and then I can click on Effects and select the DJ effect that I just used. And as you can see, the effect is already running here. However, as I just mentioned, you can see the individual LEDs better through here. Therefore, it might be worth using a slightly milkier lens or an overall deeper LED strip. That should be it for this device. I will try to offer a few of these feet for all those who do not have a 3D printer. I will definitely include the 3D printing files for you to print in the video description. I don't know how long I can offer this. I'll place it better here. I don't know how long I can offer to print the parts for you. However, if you are still interested and can't find them anymore, feel free to write it in the comments. Maybe I will produce some more. That should be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe even found it helpful. If so, I would of course be very grateful for a rating. Next, we will continue with the integration of these components into Home Assistant and so on. I have made videos about this. Feel free to check out the channel. If you don't want to miss anything, click subscribe and I would say see you in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye. You Sand.